Hey guys, so yes, here we are again, another big Republican debate. This time Fox is hosting it, and yeah, it comes on at 6. I guess I should throw that up there too. Now, the debate's dynamics haven't really changed since Perry had his first debate, which is basically Perry's on top. He's a little bit off his highs, but he's still substantially ahead, 8 points ahead of the nearest candidate, which is Romney. Now, Romney faces basically the same situation that he did last time. He's got to try to catch Perry. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Now, the other candidates, though, are increasingly facing another dilemma altogether, which is the clock. Now, we're way out from the election, and these debates are going to not really play a huge part in the final election, probably. I'm just saying, unless some major gap happens and these candidates are so well prepared that the likelihood's fairly unlikely. I mean, it's frankly not going to probably happen. But these candidates, these second tier, if we want to divide it into a tier with Perry and Romney on top, the top tier, and then the bottom tier being everybody else, this bottom tier's got to make a move. If any of these candidates have a chance of doing it, one of them, they gotta do something different, because right now they're just getting smoked. I mean, Ron Paul's at 10%. That's not unsubstantial, but at the same time, that's not going to win you this election. You gotta hit hard. You know what I'm saying? And the problem they face is that their ideas, their concepts, what they've said, what they've done, are fairly close to all the other candidates in the race, with the exception of Ron Paul and Huntsman. Now, that means that it's hard to create divisions. It's hard to say, well, I'm for this more conservative position and the other one isn't. In other words, they can't outright each other because they've already established about as right as you can get and still have a chance of running for the election. At least that's the common wisdom. Maybe you can outright a little bit more, but it's hard. There's not much of a right flank left to outflank. That's my point. Anyway, not only do they face that problem, but they also face the economic problem that unless they get plenty of funding, they're going to have a hard time competing as we get closer, because it gets increasingly expensive to play this ag catch-up game. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, Romney's got a shitload of money, right? Romney's got tons and tons of cash. Same with Perry. Ron Paul does have some. I got to keep mentioning Ron Paul so I don't get hate. Anyway, both these candidates can just saturate the television sets and radio and even the internet to a certain extent with ads. Now, those ads and commercials are basically going to have some level of effect. They're going to have enough of an effect that a candidate that does not have the money to compete won't be able to compete. And unless these lower candidates get enough money and actual traction on the ground, they're not going to get going. Now, we're increasingly getting to the point where they can't do that. They're running out of time. So we'll probably see in this debate them trying to swing hard against these two front runners. And maybe even the person that's closer to them, like Bachmann and Paul are pretty close on the polling. They'll probably hit each other a little bit too. Though that's kind of an odd matchup. That one probably won't happen. But if you're a Santorum, for example, you're polling, in your best polls 5%, then you gotta swing for the fences. You gotta hit somebody hard, and it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, you can hit anybody. I mean, Newt might be your target, but you gotta make a move. You see what I'm saying? If you're in his position. So I think that's probably what we'll see in this debate. The front runners basically just trying, maybe hitting each other a little bit, but they'll try to basically shut up and just kill the time and run. You follow? They're just going to they're not going to try to say anything controversial. They're just going to basically say the Republican line. Maybe Perry gets a little funny every once in a while, but I think that, frankly, and everything he said is going to probably be forgotten by the primaries, if not the final election. So, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I think Perry is still, he's dropping off his highs, but I think when it settles down, I think he's still going to be ahead of Romney. Why do I think this? Well, the polls are already showing signs of settling. Also, we're a few weeks into his election, candidacy. And frankly, what happens with all candidates is they gut in, they get this big boost, everybody's excited about them, and then there's kind of a real, they lose their new feel, they lose their new car smell, so they drop a little bit. And we're about in that window where that happens, and we're about out of it. Then you kind of get the numbers that are more stable. And it's still looking like it's going to be probably about 5 to 7 points above Romney at this point. But of course, things can change. Maybe he says, Santa is not real and puppies should all be killed or something. And then that's going to change the debate altogether. But, you never know what will happen. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, my final recommendation for this debate is wait for the clips afterwards. Or if you've seen a previous debate. If you haven't watched this one. If you have seen a previous debate, they're going to basically say the same thing. That's the problem with having so many debates. And just wait for the headlines afterward. I'm going to watch it because I enjoy debates. But if you don't enjoy debates, there's no point in watching this one. Unless you haven't watched one. I guess that's my point. I've said that multiple times. Anyway, subscribe, comment, rate. So once again, the debate is on at 6 o'clock on the West Coast. I'm not sure what it is on the East Coast. But I think it's 6 o'clock everywhere. I'm not exactly sure how Fox is doing it. And that's basically it. Subscribe, comment, rate. Have a great day. Bye.